They say love is blind, but no one ever tells you that sometimes it's also deaf, dumb, and utterly stupid. When Clara walked into my life, she was everything I thought I was looking for: beautiful, warm, and easy to talk to. She didn't just listen when I told her about my dreams of having kids. She shared them. She told me she wanted the same things: a family and a home filled with love. And I believed her. Everything moved fast, but at the time it felt right. After less than a year of dating, we were engaged. A few months later, we were married. I thought I had found my soulmate, and I thought I was building a future with the perfect woman. But looking back now, I realize I never really knew her at all. 2 years of marriage, no pregnancy. At first, it didn't seem like a big deal. Some couples take time, and I figured we were just one of them. But after months of trying with no results, the reality started sinking in. Something was wrong. We visited multiple fertility clinics, sat through endless consultations, and did every test they recommended: blood work, ultrasounds, hormone checks, semen analysis. We left no stone unturned. Every time, the results were the same. Nothing was wrong. It didn't make sense. No medical cause. No explanation. Just two healthy people who somehow couldn't conceive. As time passed, the pressure grew. My parents, who had been excited about becoming grandparents, started asking questions. They weren't subtle about it either. Have you checked yourself properly? Is Clara okay? Should we take you to a specialist? They wanted answers. Clara, on the other hand, seemed calm about the whole thing. She never panicked, never showed frustration. Instead, she always told me to be patient. "It'll happen when it's meant to," she would say, brushing it off with a smile. She was the one who handled most of the clinic appointments. She always picked where we went and always made the calls. At the time, I thought she just wanted to be in control of the situation. I never questioned it. What I didn't realize was that I wasn't just struggling to have a child. I was being deceived the entire time. Please, take a second to like this video to give it a boost. Now let's continue. One night, I was getting dressed for a formal gathering. I had been rushing to get ready in time when I realized that one of my cufflinks was missing. I checked the nightstand and other corners, but it was nowhere to be found. Clara wasn't home at the time, so I figured I'd check our closet. As I moved things around, my eyes landed on her jewelry box. It was the one she always kept tucked away on the top shelf, the one she handled so carefully. Something about the way it was placed made me pause. And maybe it was just frustration from not finding my cufflink, but I reached for it anyway. It was heavier than I expected. When I opened it, everything seemed normal: rings, necklaces, a few bracelets. But as I ran my fingers along the bottom, I felt something odd, like a button. I pressed against it, and with a soft click, a hidden compartment popped open. At first, I just stared. Inside, buried beneath a leather-bound journal. It looked worn. The edges of the pages slightly curled, the spine softened from years of being handled. I hesitated, my fingers hovering over it. My gut told me to open it, so I did. The first few pages seemed harmless. Ordinary random thoughts, daily notes, things a person might write down just to clear their mind. But then, as I flipped further, something changed. The tone, the words. It started with memories of her past. At first, I skimmed through, not thinking much of it. But then certain things stood out, details about her previous relationship, about the choices she made back then. As I kept reading, my stomach twisted. I had spent years believing we were just unlucky, that we were trying our best, and the universe simply hadn't blessed us with a child. We had gone to doctors, taken tests, and faced disappointment together. I had comforted her when she cried over negative results and reassured her that we would keep trying. I had held her, loved her, believing we were in this fight together. But it was all a lie. She had known before we even got married that this was never going to happen. She knew, and she let me hope. She let me dream. She let me carry the weight of something that wasn't even real. I felt a cold sweat on the back of my neck as I turned another page. She hadn't just lied. She had planned every part of it. From the clinics we visited to the doctors we saw. She had made sure we only went to places where she could control the outcome, where no one would ever question her. I had never thought twice about it because why would I? She was my wife. I trusted her. And yet, looking back, it all made sense. I remembered the way she always insisted on picking the clinics. The way she flat out refused to go to the one run by my old friend, saying she didn't feel comfortable there. I had believed her. I had trusted that she was just being private about her medical issues. But now reading the words in front of me, I saw it for what it really was. She had been afraid of getting caught. And it didn't stop there. She had been managing the truth, manipulating it, controlling it for as long as we had been together. And worse, she was still tangled up with the man from her past. Not because she wanted to be, not because she loved him, but because he knew everything, and he was holding it over her head. I gripped the edges of the journal so tightly. I looked at the clock. How long had I been sitting here? I was supposed to be at the event, but I wasn't going anywhere. I closed the journal, my hands trembling. This wasn't just about betrayal. This wasn't just about cheating. The woman I loved, the woman I married, had never even existed. I didn't confront her that night even if I wanted to scream, throw the journal in her face, and demand answers. But what good would that do? She will probably lie. She would cry. She might twist the truth, and suddenly, I'd be the bad guy for not trusting my wife. No, I wasn't going to give her that chance until I figured out what to do. So I did the one thing she wouldn't expect. I acted normal. When she walked through the door that evening, I greeted her like I always did. My voice was steady. My face showed nothing. I kissed her on the cheek, the same as every other night. She just smiled, took off her shoes, and started talking about her day. I watched her. For the first time, I really watched her. The way she moved, the way she laughed, the way she looked at me. Everything about her used to feel familiar and comforting. But now it felt scripted, rehearsed. Like I was watching an actress play the role of devoted wife in a movie where I was the fool. I sat with her through dinner. I nodded when she spoke. I even managed to smile when she made some joke about how I always overcooked the steak. But inside I felt nothing. No love. No hate. Just emptiness. After dinner, as she curled up on the couch, scrolling through her phone, I finally spoke. "We're going somewhere important tomorrow." She looked up, eyebrows raised. "Oh? Where?" I shrugged, keeping my voice light. "You'll see." Her lips curled into a small, knowing smile. "Is this a surprise?" I just looked at her. She laughed, setting her phone down. "You're so secretive sometimes, you know that? I swear if you booked some ridiculously expensive weekend getaway, I'm going to be so mad at you." I forced a small chuckle. "Just be ready in the morning." She grinned, stretching her arms. "All right, Mr. Mysterious. Whatever you say." Then she went back to her phone, completely oblivious to the fact that by this time tomorrow, her entire world would come crashing down. I woke up before Clara that morning. I turned my head slightly and looked at her. She slept peacefully, completely unaware of what the day had in stock for her. For a brief second, I almost felt something close to pity. But then I remembered the journal, the years she spent lying to me while keeping her ex close enough to control her. Whatever love I had for her was buried beneath the weight of her betrayal. Finally, she was up. I watched as she carefully picked out an outfit, deciding on a flowing white dress and delicate gold earrings. Her makeup was light but intentional, just enough to enhance her natural beauty. She wanted to look perfect for whatever she thought I had planned. We got into the car and drove off. Then, after a while, she looked up. "This isn't the way to the resort, is it?" she asked. I didn't respond. I kept my eyes on the road, my hands firm on the wheel. Her frown deepened. "Wait, where are we going?" she asked again, her voice tinged with nervousness. Still, I didn't answer. The only sound in the car was the steady hum of the engine as we continued driving. Finally, I pulled into the parking lot of Westwood Fertility Center. It was a place she had never picked, never suggested, never even mentioned. The second she saw the sign, her entire body stiffened. She didn't move, didn't speak. She just sat there, staring at the building as if hoping she had read it wrong. She turned to me slowly, her expression blank, but I could see the tension on her face. "Why are we here?" she asked. Her voice was controlled, almost too casual, like she was trying to pretend this was just a normal question. I unbuckled my seatbelt and turned to face her. My expression remained unreadable. No questions. "Just do as I say." Her lips parted slightly, as if she wanted to say something but wasn't sure how. "Get out of the car," I commanded her. She hesitated, her fingers gripping the edge of her dress. I could see her mind racing, calculating her next move. Then she let out a small, nervous laugh. "Babe, we've already done so many tests." "Why another one?" I said nothing. I just stared at her. Her breathing changed. It became shorter and sharper. I don't feel comfortable with this," she said, forcing another smile. "I mean, shouldn't we talk about this first?" I tilted my head slightly, watching her carefully. "Like how we talked about all those other clinics you picked." Her lips parted, but no words came out. She froze, just for a second, but that was all I needed. That hesitation was the only answer I required. She knew. She exhaled slowly and unbuckled her seatbelt. Without another word, she stepped out of the car. We walked into the clinic in silence. She wasn't in control anymore. And for the first time, I saw something real in her expression. She was scared. And she should be. As soon as we stepped into the clinic, Clara changed. I followed her as we checked in at the reception desk. The tests began. One by one, she moved through them: blood work, ultrasounds, examinations. I sat in the waiting area paying attention. I caught every tiny shift in her expression when she glanced at me. She was terrified. By the time she stepped out of the final test, she already knew it was over. She didn't need the results to tell her the truth. She knew what was coming. The results would be ready tomorrow. But for Clara, the verdict had already been given. She didn't say a word as we walked out of the clinic and back to the car. She climbed into the passenger seat, buckled her seatbelt, and stared out the window. I started the car and pulled out of the parking lot. The silence between us was thick. She lasted 3 blocks before she broke. She collapsed in on herself, shaking, sobbing, unraveling. "Alex, please." Her voice was raw, barely above a whisper. "I can't explain." I kept driving. My grip on the steering wheel remained steady. My foot didn't lift from the gas pedal. She turned to me, her face twisted in anguish. "Please just listen to me," she cried, her hands grabbing at my arm, but I didn't flinch. Then the floodgates opened. She started talking, fast, desperate, tripping over her words like she could somehow erase the truth by drowning it in explanations. "It wasn't supposed to be like this," she sobbed. "I never wanted to lie to you. I swear, Alex, I love you. I do." I didn't look at her. Didn't respond. She took a sharp breath, her voice shaking. "It's not my fault. I didn't know, I didn't think." She choked on her words, trying to piece together something convincing, but nothing was coming out right. Then came the blame. "It's him," she said suddenly, anger slipping into her voice. "It's all because of him. That bastard. He ruined everything for me." Her ex. She went on, barely stopping to breathe. "He pushed me into it, Alex. He made me do things I didn't want to. I was young. I was stupid. I didn't know what I was doing. If I had known I'd end up with you, if I had known I would meet someone like you, I never would have." Her voice cracked. "I never would have ruined my chances." I could feel her staring at me, waiting for me to say something, to react, to soften. "I didn't. I was scared," she whispered. "Scared of losing you. Scared of what would happen if you found out. I knew you wanted a family, and I thought maybe if I just kept pushing it, it would work out somehow. I didn't want to lose you." Silence. Then, finally, she said the words she thought would save her. Please, Alex, don't do this. I love you. We can fix this. I cut her off before she could say another word. My voice was calm, detached, so cold. Save yourself the stress. She froze, her breath catching in her throat. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. The finality in my tone was enough. I already know everything. I continued, keeping my gaze on the road. Your journal is enough proof. The test today? Just confirmation. For a moment, the only sound was the rhythmic clicking of the turn signal as I slowed for an intersection. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her body slumped slightly, as she had finally run out of lies, out of defenses, out of whatever illusion she had been clinging to. When we get home, I said evenly, pack your things and leave. She made a strangled sound, somewhere between a gasp and a sob. I kept going. This marriage is over. Clara let out a whimper, like the words had physically struck her. I felt her shift beside me, her trembling fingers reaching for my arm. A last, desperate attempt to bridge the growing chasm between us. The moment her skin brushed mine, I flinched. My reaction was instinctive: repulsion, disgust, finality. She noticed. We pulled into the driveway. I killed the engine and stepped out without a word. I didn't wait for her. Didn't check to see if she followed. I walked straight into the house. Behind me, I heard Clara's soft, broken sobs as she stumbled through the front door. She was crumbling, falling apart, but I didn't turn around. I walked away, leaving her to pack in disgrace. She packed quickly, barely making a sound as she dragged her suitcases out of the house and into whatever miserable future she had left. I didn't watch her leave. I didn't need to. The moment she stepped out of that door, she ceased to exist in my life. I won't lie and say it didn't hurt. It did. Realizing that the woman I thought I loved never really existed was like waking up from a dream, one where I had been asleep for far too long. But that's the thing about illusions. They only last as long as you refuse to see the cracks. Clara thought she had everything under control. She thought she was always one step ahead, manipulating the story and directing the script. But in the end, she was the one who lost everything. She thought she played me, but in the end, she played herself. And now, I have a question for you. If you were in my position, if you discovered that the person you trusted, the person you built a life with, had been lying from the start, what would you do? Would you forgive them? Would you give them another chance? Or would you walk away just like I did? Let me know. I'll be waiting. Don't forget to like and subscribe.